On this weekend is Little Miss Peanut. I know we'll all be there. Be from Saturday from 5 to 9, and it is a special time for those little girls. Saturday 5 to 9. That's what we got. It is a special time for those little girls. So if you can't go, I encourage you to do that. Any other comments or announcements from the?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say we need to remember those folks in the hurricane from even Helene and from Milton. There's a lot of damage that's taken place in the past few weeks. We just need to remember those folks in our prayers and just think about those people.
That is a good point. And I've not even turned on the news this morning, so I don't know how. I know it was bad, but I hadn't seen the end.
It's been devastating.
Definitely prayers. Anything else? Okay. We have two proposed items under awards and presentations. Item number 1 is a recognition for the town of Rehoboth Fire and Rescue. I think they were awarded ISO rating of 2, which is probably the lowest that they've ever been. Mayor Trotter emailed me last week about putting this on the agenda. She wants as much recognition as she can get for her team out there. And so we're going to recognize them if there is no objection.
No objection.
And also, I got a call from Jason Renault this morning. He wants to do something similar for the other volunteer agencies, because I think most of them experienced a drop in the ISO rating. A drop in ISO is good. That's a good thing. So he wants to come probably the first meeting in November and recognize them. So just a heads up for them.
Good.
And then proposed item number 2 is proclamation for Red Ribbon Week. It's Kelsey Barnes, with the Youth Council President. She will be here for that proclamation. Any objection to placing that item on the agenda?
No objection.
All right. Moving on to the regular agenda, we have 5 proposed items. Item number 1 is a request to adopt resolution to comply with Alabama Open Records Act number 2024-278 and approve accompanying procedures for accepting public records requests. I know this has been debated in the State House for a number of years. I know Senator Arthur Orr has pushed this for years, and they were finally able to get all the sides to agree on an update, because quite honestly, the now former open records request was heavily tilted in favor of any government agency. Like, you never even had to respond, that you had received a request for an open records request. So this puts some stipulations into the new rules. And so we will adopt a policy that will comply with the new requirements that are being pushed down from the states. Peter, I'll let you explain as much as you care to explain about this.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, commissioners, this essentially is going to replace the current policy number 50 with the county policies that was adopted back in 2017. This more formalizes the process under which a open records request must be addressed. As the chairman had mentioned, the prior law just indicated that a response needed to be made when it was administratively convenient. Now we have required to log on these requests when they come in. We're required to respond in a certain number of business days, and or explain why we're either not going to respond or why we may need some additional time. Regarding the other components of the records request, it remains the same. Although it does this new law does require that the commission formally identify a records officer. I think it's referred to as a public officer, to be the sort of titular point of contact for those requests. I'm suggesting that we don't change it from its current allocated responsibility, which is to the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. But this just makes the policy more formalized and puts the parameters as required by the new law into practice for our county. This is this resolution and the procedures that I'm requesting that the commission consider adopting are from the ACCA.
What is the timeline that we have to respond? I did not see that in this information.
There's two different timelines. Primarily, the primary one is 10 days. Unless it can be determined that it is what's considered to be a significant request, then it's 15 days.
Gotcha.
And that is depending on how many other people need to be involved in getting that information. It may not be readily available to the public officer at the location that person resides, meaning say Florida may require that public officer reach out to other departments. And if that's the case, there's additional time, but the public officer needs to let the requester know that this is a significant request and it will take a little bit more time.
Okay. So we have to respond we have to either respond to their request or acknowledge that we have received it and let them know it's going
Yes.
to take a little bit within 10 or
We
15.
need to have a formal log, as I mentioned, we need a formal log of when those items were received so that we have a time frame to be accounted to have accountability
Gotcha.
to respond in the time required by the law. The only other thing about this law is that it clarifies who can request it. Beforehand, it was any requester. Now it has to be an Alabama citizen.
Gotcha.
And that's a distinction in this law, because oftentimes we'll get requests from Minnesota or, New Hampshire, basically trying to scrub through our documents to find out information on tax liens or tax sales. And we're only required to respond now to an Alabama citizen.
So I know we had a public records request for the jail lock bid, which is still an ongoing thing.
Yes.
Even that, it would have to be an Alabama citizen that would request that. So they could hire an attorney, a law firm out of Montgomery to do that, but it would have to be someone from Alabama. They couldn't request it from, say, Minnesota or New York.
I can't answer that question. That's
Gotcha.
an excellent question. I don't know how this is going to work in practice, because that may not be just a public records request. That may be a challenge to a bid, which is
It's a different thing.
different.
I got you. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Any requests? Any questions or comments from? the
Mr. Chairman, I got some comments.
Yes.
And also, I think this is something that's great. I'm glad our legislator and our Senate up in Montgomery has looked into this, and it's always been questionable to folks of open meetings acts and what are you hiding, and my 2 terms so far, I've figured out there ain't much you can hide. There's checks and balances everywhere. And so I think it's great that this is happening. But I do want to make sure, I know for years it seems to be this way, that we was able to, at any point, that a citizen of Houston County could come up here and get any records that the commission had. You just had to pay for the paperwork that was done. You pay for the sheets of paper and those type of things, not just given to you. Is that still the same? And we'll still do the same thing and be able to give the citizens, if they want something,
Yes.
that they can get the records, whatever they need. So there's nothing we're hiding, nothing we're going to hide. It's out there. It's to them. You can get it. You just got to pay for your time. You got to pay for the paperwork that you get. Is that still correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, that's great. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right, any objection to placing this item on the agenda?
No objection.
Okay. Item number 2 is a request to donate a 2012 Chevrolet Silverado Crew Cab 4x4 to Bay Springs Volunteer Fire Department. We talked about this, I think, at the last meeting when we were putting the items to be sold on Gov Deals, that they had reached out to Commissioner Ivy and requested that one of these be donated. And certainly, we're always happy to help our volunteers when we can. So, any questions or comments on this item? Okay. Any objection to placing this item on the agenda?
No objection.
Okay. Item number 3 is a request to approve preliminary plat for Whispering Creek subdivision. Road and Bridge. Tyler. Press that, make sure to press that button.
So this is a 42 lot subdivision. This is actually, we're planning on 2 phases. I think total about closer to 90 range.
Okay.
Not exactly sure on the second phase yet, but this is just for the first phase right now. It's 42 lots off of National Road. And it's within the size of city limits of the town limits.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha,
we will be overseeing the inspection.
gotcha. Okay, good deal. Any questions or comments on this? I know the developer has a lot of experience working on National Road and done a good job down there. Always been, as far as I know, as far as y'all told me, easy to work with, which is nice from time to time, come and work with people that's easy to work
That's
with.
just questionable sometimes.
Any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Any objection to placing this item on the agenda?
No objection.
No. Item number 4 is a request to award bid for hot asphalt plant mix to lowest bidder meeting specs. APAC is the lowest bidder again.
It's good to see we got many bidders.
Yeah,
That's a good. Yeah.
that is good. That is good. Questions or comments on this? Any objection to placing this item on the agenda? Item number 5 is a request to award bid for bituminous surface treatment to lowest bidder meeting specs. SC Materials is the lowest bidder for this one. They were the only bidder for this one. Okay. How did the price look on this one?
I think it came down a little bit. We probably a lot of this since asphalt came down.
Gotcha. Okay. I know we're about to pave some roads, or resurface some roads, so that'll be good. Timely. Questions or comments on this item? Any objection to placing this item on the agenda?
No objection.
Okay. Anything else to be considered for Monday's agenda by the commission? Tuesday, yeah, that's right. Monday's. Thank you. Yeah, don't come here Monday. We won't be here. All right, hearing none, we do have one person that's submitted a privilege